and welcome to this practice focusing on strengthening and energising through the body, ready for the summer season. So we're going to start on the back of the body. Just to let you know before you start, you will need probably a block or a book, a thick book for this practice, and also a strap of some description. So it could be a dressing gown, cord, or a belt or something like that, just because we're going to stretch through the backs of the legs using our yoga strap. So anything at all you've got at home that you can use, perhaps go and find that now before you start. Then we're going to come on to the back of the body. We're going to start with a little bit of breath work. So just come to a comfortable position on the back of the body, whatever suits you. I'm going to bring my feet to the width of the mat and just bring the knees in to support one another. Just going to draw my shoulder blades together onto the mat. Bring the hands down beside me. And I'm just going to start to bring my attention to my breath. So just allowing your breath to be in its own natural rhythm to begin with. So we're not changing anything, we're just coming to arrive ready for our practice. And you'll probably find there'll be noises at home, perhaps the phone rings or the doorbell goes, or perhaps you can hear cars outside. It's really good just to notice those things. But if you can, try not to engage with them, just allow them to float past and try and bring your attention inwards. So now we're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Filling the lungs nice and full of air. Then going to exhale. When you go again, filling the lungs with air. Feel the belly expand. As you inhale, and then slowly exhale, pursing through the lips. We go again, we inhale. Exhale. 2 more times. Inhale through the nose. Last time. Inhale. Now just allow your breath to come back to its natural rhythm. Just noticing your body. Perhaps noticing how you're feeling today. Any little niggles or areas of tension through the body. So in our practice, it's really important you look after yourself. So listen to your body throughout the practice. Yoga should never hurt, should never be any sharp stabbing pains. So just be aware of the sensations through your body throughout this practice. And just pull back out of anything that doesn't feel right for you. You can come down to child's pose at any point, or to another comfortable position, whatever you prefer. Just join back in when you're ready. Let's just take another couple of rounds of breath here. We're going to hug the knees gently in towards the chest, gently rocking from side to side. Squeeze the legs in towards the body. You might feel a bit of a stretch through the glutes and the lower spine. Then we're going to bring our arms out at shoulder heights. We're just going to take an inhale here. Exhale, drop both knees to the right hand side, potentially taking the gaze to the left if that's comfortable for your neck. And just try and relax both shoulders onto the mat, relaxing through the hands. Just take 3 deep breaths here. last one. On the next inhale, slowly draw the knees back up to the chest. Exhale, take them to the left-hand side, stacking one knee on top of the other. Take the gaze to the right-hand side, again relaxing the shoulders, the fingers. Take 3 deep breaths here. And while you're here, just check in with your jaw, with the space between your eyebrows, and just make sure your facial muscles are relaxed, that you're not holding any tension through the face or the jaw. On the next inhale, we're going to draw the knees back up to centre, hug them in towards the chest, interlace the fingers, just gently hug them in, perhaps do some little circles, and then take it the other way. And let's stretch the feet, or legs out should I say, to the edge of your mat. With the arms overhead, inhale, reach the fingers away from you, point through the toes. Reach, 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 reach. Exhale, relax the feet, relax the arms one more time. Inhale, stretch the body nice and tall. Exhale, release. Slowly bring the knees in. And then we're going to rock up. Because I need to get hold of my strap, so I'm just going to come up gently and get hold of my strap. So you may already have your strap next to you. If you do, then obviously you can stay on the floor. We're going to place the left foot on the mat. We're going to take our strap or our dressing gown, belt, whatever you've got at home, around the sole of the right foot. Keep both shoulders on the mat, keep the arms nice and strong, hold the strap with both hands. Try not to do that with it at the moment because that creates a lot of tension through one arm. So try and have even pressure or even tension, but not too much. Don't lift the shoulders. Push that heel up towards the ceiling. Back of my right leg feels really tight. You should feel, as I am, a really juicy stretch down the back of that leg. Keep pushing the heel up towards the ceiling. And just see whether you can just encourage that leg maybe a tiny bit towards the body, but keep pushing that heel away. If your lower back's comfortable with it, you can extend the left leg along the mat. Keep that leg activated though, so flex through the foot. But if it isn't, keep it back on the mat exactly where it was, just helps to keep the lower spine in contact with the mat. Breathe. Feel that stretch. We're then going to take the strap into the right hand. We're going to extend that left leg. We're going to take the right leg out to the side just a little bit. Don't allow the left hip, to lift at all. Make sure it's firmly grounded. So your leg may not go very far. Looking for a stretch through the inner thigh. Primarily keep pushing that heel away. Keep both shoulders grounded into the mat. Inhale, come back up to centre. Swap hands with the strap, take it in the left hand, right hand comes to the mat. This is a really small movement, so don't take it too far. You're just going to bring that leg across the midline of the body and you'll feel that sweet spot where you feel actually it's quite uncomfortable because we're stretching all the way down the outside of the leg where we are all fairly tight. Keep pushing that heel away, shoulders grounded into the mat. Breathe. Don't lift that right hip too much, so we're not coming all the way onto the side of the body because you won't feel it then. Keep that right hip grounded, just bring the leg just slightly across the midline. Bring it back through centre. Release the strap for a moment. We're then going to bring the left foot to the floor, right ankle comes onto the left thigh. We're going to come to figure 4 here. So we're stretching, opening out through the hip. So you can keep the left foot on the mat. You should be able to feel a nice opening through the right hip. Or if that's not sufficient, you think, actually, no, I've got a bit more space here, you can lift the left leg off the floor, interlace the fingers behind the thigh, keep the shoulders, the head on the mat, draw that knee in towards the chest. You can even use the right elbow just to encourage that knee out very slightly. You can also extend that leg up towards the ceiling should you wish to do so. Breathe. And as before, just be careful you're not clenching your jaw, holding your breath, and just keep the breath nice and smooth. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears. Let's slowly release that left foot to the floor if it's in the air. Release the right foot to the floor. Maybe just very gently rock the knees from side to side. And then we need to do all that on the other side. So take your strap, place it around the sole of the left foot, press that heel up towards the ceiling. Either keeping the right foot on the mat or extending that leg out depending on what's right for you. Keeping the arms nice and long and strong, shoulders on the mat. Press that heel away. Breathe. Feel that stretch down the back of the left leg. Keep the breath nice and smooth. You can exhale through the mouth if you want to. It's really good just for releasing that tension in the body. Keep coming back to the breath. If the mind wanders off, just draw it gently back to your inhale and exhale, to the sensations through the back of the leg. And then we're going to take the strap in the left hand. So the right hand's going to come to the mat to support us. We're just going to take that left leg out a little bit to the side, keeping the right hip very much on the floor. So you need to make sure the right foot's on the floor again now if you did extend it. Keep pushing that heel away. Breathe. Looking for a stretch through the inner thigh. Breathe. Let's bring that leg back up to centre. Now you want to extend that right leg down the mat, swap hands with the strap, left hand comes onto the floor. Slowly bring that right leg across the midline. Oh, that's a juicy stretch. Keep that left hip on the floor so we're not lifting it. It's a small movement, you will feel it through the outside edge of the leg. Breathe, really important, you keep breathing, don't hold the breath, don't clench the jaw. Slowly bring that leg back up to centre. Release the strap, place it to one side. We don't need that again for the time being. Draw the knees in towards the centre. We're then going to do our figure four on the other side. So take the right leg to the mat, take the left ankle over the right thigh. You'll feel that opening through the left hip. You can stay here, absolutely. Keep the shoulders on the floor. If that's sufficient for you, stay here, breathe. If you've got a bit more space and you want to lift the right leg, interlace the hands behind, draw that thigh in towards you, keep the shoulders on the floor, and just make sure you're not clenching your teeth or holding your breath again. And you can also extend that leg if you want to. Both those options will just give you a slightly juicier stretch, but make sure your breath's not impacted by that stretch. So if you take it too far, you'll find it really hard to get your breath to a smooth place, an even place. So if your breath becomes short and quick, just pull back out the stretch a tiny bit. Much better to do that than to be struggling to breathe. And slowly we're going to release that foot to the mat. Release the left foot to the mat, perhaps take them the width of the mat and just gently rock the knees from side to side. Keep breathing, always come back to the inhale and the exhale. Then going to rock up to seated, but we're going to do it through a boat pose. So we're going to bring the knees up, or the legs up should I say, and we're just going to rock a little bit along the spine, coming up a couple of times, just till we find a place of balance, and then come to a place where you can hold it. Bring the arms out in front of you maybe, or you might want to bring them to hold behind the thighs. Draw the belly in. Legs are up, they might be right up, they might just be parallel with the floor. Draw the belly in, hold it here for a breath in your boat. And then then slowly lower legs to the floor. Perhaps scoot yourself back slightly on your mat. We're going to come to all fours. So bring yourself all the way around onto all fours. Positioning the hands, or the wrist should I say, underneath the shoulders, knees under the hips. Broaden through the fingers, so make sure they're really well spread so your weight's evenly distributed. We're going to do a few rounds of cat and cow here. So let's inhale, push the belly towards the mat, arch the spine, broaden through the chest, gaze comes up very slightly. Exhale, draw the belly in, round through the back of the body, gaze comes down. Inhale, push the belly down, broaden through the chest. Perhaps close the eyes here. Just connect completely with your breath and with the sensations through the body. How's your lower spine feeling today? Perhaps it's feeling a bit tight. Just notice, and also just connect with where the movement's coming from. So ideally you want the movement to be coming from the tailbone to start with and working all the way up towards the head rather than starting with the head. So the head should be the last thing, or the gaze is the last thing that moves. Let's do one more of each. And then come back to a neutral position. I'm going to come to work a little bit through the core and a little bit of a balance. So we're going to bring the right leg out behind us. We're going to press that heel away, keeping the shoulders over the wrists. Press that heel away. Imagine you're pressing it against the back wall and just gently rock backwards and forwards a couple of times just to extend through the back of the leg. We're then going to lift, come back to centre, lift that right leg just to hip height, no higher than that. Flex through the foot, push it away from you. Draw up through the belly. Then going to lift the left hand off the floor, reach it away from you. Put the hand down if you need to. Reach it away from you. Imagine you being pulled in both directions. Oh my goodness. Lost my balance again. Reach those fingers away, reach the foot away from you. Take a breath, draw up through the belly. Bring the hand down to the mat, bring the knee down. Perhaps do some little rocks from side to side with the hips. We're going to do that on the other side. So take the left leg out behind you. Press that heel away. Rock backwards and forwards a couple of times, just stretching through the back of the leg, through the calf muscle, through the hamstrings. Then let's lift that leg to hip height. Push that heel away from you. Imagine you're pressing it against the back wall. Just look behind you, make sure the toes are tracking down towards the floor and they're not pointing out to the side. We're not opening through the hip, we're just stretching the back of the leg. We're then going to lift that right arm, reach it away from you. Reach the fingers, push the heel away. Breathe. Gaze to the top of your mat. Don't try and gaze forwards because you might crunch the neck. Breathe. Draw out through the belly. Drop the right hand down. Drop the left knee down. Push back to child's pose. So bring the hips back towards the heels, bring the arms out in front of you. Take the head down to the mat. Perhaps step the hands or walk the hands a little bit further forwards. Come up onto the fingertips. Feel a bit more of a stretch, a bit more space through the back of the body. Take 2 breaths. Inhale again. Exhale. I'm going to come forwards, back onto all fours. We're going to do a little flow here from our child's pose to plank and down to start to open out through the hips, but also to just warm up through the spine a little bit more. So from here, we're actually going to push back to child's pose. Let's start by pushing back to child's pose. We're going to come forwards, press through the hands, lift the knees. We're going to come to plank. So you're going to push those heels away from you. Draw up through the belly, strong through the arms. Take a breath. We're then going to come down, so as we exhale, we're going to bring the hips down slightly. Not very much, we've not really warmed up yet through the lower back very much. We're then going to push all the way back to downward facing dog. Bend through the knees, push the mat away. Breathe. Inhale, come back to plank. Breathe, strong through the arms, lift up through the belly. Exhale, drop the knees, push back to child's pose. 2 breaths here. I'm going to go through that one more time. You can always put the knees down in plank if you prefer to do that, and you can also come back to child's pose rather than downward facing dog. So from here, we're going to inhale, come forwards, lift the knees, push up to plank, push the heels away from you. Draw up through the belly. Nice strong core, strong arms, strong legs. Inhale here. Exhale, drop the hips. Feel a bit of an opening through the front of the body and also warming up a bit more through the back of the body. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe, bend through the knees, push the mat away with the hands and with the feet. Inhale, come back to plank. Exhale, drop the knees, push back to child's pose. 2 breaths here. By all means, roll out through the wrists here if you want to, or do some flexion, extension through the fingers. If your wrists are feeling it a little bit already, just do a little bit of mobilisation. It's absolutely fine. So from here, we're going to push up to downward facing dog and then come to the front of the mat. So let's reset on all fours. Walk the hands a bit further forwards, just so you're in the right position for downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, draw up through the belly, hover the knees, and then press yourself all the way up to downward facing dog. Push the mat away. Let's take 3 breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. As you exhale, see if you can lift the hips a little bit more. Inhale. Exhale through the mouth. Last one. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Let's step the feet all the way to the front of the mat. So come to the front of the mat, however you want to get there. Come to your Uttanasana, forward fold. Perhaps bring the hands just behind the ankles. Keep the knees nice and bent. Push into the ground through the feet. And then going to inhale, release the hands, push through the feet. Slowly, slowly come all the way up through standing. Sweep the arms up. Exhale, draw the hands down through the heart centre. Just rock the head from side to side. Relax the shoulders. Drop the hands down by the sides of the body. So we're going to come to do Tadasana with a block. So we're going to place a block between the thighs. This is just so that it gives us a sensation of squeezing through the thighs. You know that you're activating through both legs. So place the block however you want to between the thighs. Draw the shoulders down towards the back of the body. Make sure the feet are at hip distance apart. Close down the eyes. So just check in with your feet. Make sure that you can feel the ground through all 4 corners of both feet. If you can't, just ground yourself into the mat or into the floor a little bit more. Push all the toes down into the mat. Check your weight's not in the front or the back of your feet. Make sure it's evenly distributed. Then draw the outer shins in very slightly. Draw up through the kneecaps, engage through the quads at the front of the legs. Really squeeze them. That will help you to drop the kneecaps anyway. Roll the inner thighs just back and up slightly. That will help to engage through the glutes. Draw up through the lower belly and then lengthen down through the tailbone. Shoulders drawn down the back of the body. Arms softly down the sides of the body, but then I want you to activate through the fingers and through the arms. So draw the arms away from you. Reach the fingers towards the floor. Crown of the head's coming up towards the ceiling. Jaw is soft. And you're squeezing that block. So standing here in our Tadasana is actually quite hard work when we're activating through the whole of the body, making sure that we're utilising the full strength of the legs, the activation of the legs, as well as the core, the back muscles to keep us supported and upright, the arms reaching down towards the floor, crown of the out. So your posture should be amazing in this position, in this pose. It's a bit like our plank really, when we're in our full plank, similar to this, in that we're engaging through the legs, the core, the upper body. We're just in a different position. One more breath here. Notice how it feels. I'm going to come to do some sun salutations. So each time you come back to Tadasana, just think about this sensation. Try and, without the block there, try and make sure that it feels similar for you, so you're really working your legs. Another breath. Slowly bring the eyes open. Remove the block from between the thighs. Place it next to your mat, because you'll need it in a little while. So we're going to start by going through a few sun salutations. Surya Namaskar A, which we've done before. So come to the front of the mat, feet about hip distance apart. Come back to that strong Tadasana, that strong mountain pose, engaging through the legs, the core, the glutes, fingers reaching down, crown of the head coming up towards the ceiling. Let's take a nice deep inhale. We sweep the arms all the way up. We bring the palms or the fingertips together. We exhale, we're going to fold all the way down to our Uttanasana, forward fold. We inhale, come to a half lift, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, we come down, we step back to plank. That lovely trusty plank that we come back to quite a few times. Come back to plank. Take a breath. I suggest we drop the knees, untuck the toes, and we come down to a cobra. So you can either just lower yourself down, or you might want to come all the way down, like we've done before, and then come up to a cobra. That's probably better for the lower back to do that. Exhale, we lower. Inhale, engage through the feet, push yourself all the way up, downward facing dog. Breathe. We're going to step to the front of the mat. So take some little steps, or a couple of big steps, up to you. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale, let's push through the feet, come all the way up. We'll do that another couple of times. Exhale, draw the hands down. Come back to Tadasana. Inhale, sweep them up. Exhale, drop them all the way down. Inhale, half lift. Hands come down, step back to plank. Breathe. Drop the knees, untuck the toes. Lower yourself to the floor. Keep the elbows drawn in. Lower yourself all the way down. Inhale, cobra. Can be as high or as low as you want it to be. Tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. Breathe. Step forwards. We come back. We'll do one more. Inhale, push through the feet. Come all the way up through standing. Exhale, draw the hands down. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Hands come down, step back to plank. Take a breath, draw up through the belly. Push those heels away. Drop the knees, untuck the toes. Lower yourself to the floor. Come up to a little cobra. Tuck the toes. Push back to downward facing dog. Another couple of breaths here. Then let's step forwards once more. Little steps or big steps to the front of the mat. Push through the feet, come all the way up. Exhale, draw the hands down. Release the hands, roll through the shoulders. We're going to come to do Surya Namaskar B, so Sun Salutations B, which involves a lunge, a low lunge. Downward facing dog. We always come to plank, and then we're going to lower ourselves down to the floor, come to cobra. So just take it steady. So the feet come back to hip distance apart. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Exhale, let's just fold, bring the hands down through heart center and just fold all the way down. Inhale, come to half lift, draw the shoulders back. Exhale, hands come down, step the right foot back, lower the right knee to the floor, untuck the toes. We inhale, come all the way up to our low lunge. Just check that front knee's over the front ankle. Press into the ground through the front foot, shoulders are down away from the ears, engage through the belly, reach those fingers up. Making sure the arms, the hands are nice and active. Breathe. Gaze can be in front of you, or you might want to gaze up very slightly. Another breath. Inhale. Exhale, sweep the hands down, frame the front foot. I'm going to step back to plank. Sorry, I was thinking about that then, what I was doing. Step back to plank. Breathe. And drop the knees, untuck the toes. Engage through the arms, lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Come up to little cobra. Exhale. Tuck through the toes, come all the way up through downward facing dog. We're then going to step forwards with that right foot. So you can do it from all fours, or you can step it through from downward facing dog. I'm going to come to all fours. Take it slightly into the left, step the right foot through to the front of the mat to come to our low lunge on this side. Reach the arms up, check that front knees over the front ankle. Breathe. Draw the shoulders down, draw the belly in. Breathe. Exhale, bring the hands all the way down, frame the front foot. This time we're just going to step forward. You're going to lift that back knee. Gain a little bit of momentum, step forwards to the front of the mat, come to your Uttanasana. Come to half lift. We fold. We push through the feet, we come all the way up through standing. And we bring the hands down and go again. Exhale. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Step back with the left leg this time. Left knee drops to the floor, untuck the toes, come all the way up. Drop the shoulders, reach the fingers away, draw in through the belly. Breathe. Decide where your gaze is going to be, ahead of you, or just up very slightly. Keep those shoulders drawn down. We breathe. Next, exhale. Bring the hands all the way down. We step back to plank, so lift the back knee, step the right foot back, come to plank. So reset yourself, draw up through the belly, push those heels away from you, strong arms. Draw up a bit more through the belly. Lower the knees, untuck the toes. Draw the elbows together, lower yourself to the floor, coming to your cobra as you inhale. Inhale, come up to cobra. Exhale. Tuck the toes, come all the way up, down facing dog. Breathe here. One more breath. So you can lift that left leg and step it through, or you can come down to all fours, take it slightly into the right, step the left foot through. Inhale, come to low lunge on this side. Reach the fingers up, draw in through the belly. Draw the shoulders down. Use those fingers to reach a bit higher towards the ceiling. Push into the ground through that front foot. Another breath. Exhale. Bring the hands down and frame the front foot. We're going to step forward, so lift the back knee. Gain a bit of momentum, step yourself forwards to Uttanasana, forward fold. Breathe. Inhale. Push through the feet, come all the way up through standing, sweeping the arms all the way up. Exhale. Hands come to heart center. Release the hands, roll through the shoulders. Take a couple of breaths. Right. So from here, we're going to think about coming to tree and then to a bit of a pyramid from tree. So we're going to come back to our Tadasana or mountain pose. So have your block somewhere to hand, because you might want to grab it in a moment for pyramid. So we're going to start off in our Tadasana. We're then going to use the left leg as our standing leg to start with. So draw the shoulders down, come back to that strong pose. Push the feet into the floor. Engage through the shins, draw up through the kneecaps, engage through the quads. Tailbone lengthens, lower belly lifts. Draw the shoulders down. Crown of the head coming towards the ceiling, arms drawing towards the floor, fingers reaching towards the floor. Breathe. So our left leg is going to stay absolutely rooted towards the floor. We're going to start to bring the left heel towards the right heel towards the left ankle even. That would be more helpful, wouldn't it, really? You need to try and make sure you're not dumping into this hip. So if you find that when you come to bring your right heel towards your left ankle, you kind of end up standing like that, that isn't what we want really. You want to try and make sure your hip stays where it is. So if that means your foot stays on the floor, then leave your foot on the floor rather than lifting your foot but dumping into the hip. So try and keep the hips where they are. Bring that heel to the ankle. Knees coming out to the side because we're opening out through the hip. We're then going to bring our hands to heart centre and then just decide where that foot's going to go. So where's it going to come to? Engage through the legs, so squeezing through the glutes, through the thighs. Holding yourself just for a couple of breaths. Find something for your gaze. And then slowly, slowly bring that knee forwards. See if you can bring it up to a lift in front of you. And then we're going to step it back as if we're coming into Warrior One. So it's a little bit behind you, not too much. Keep your hands at heart centre. Back heels on the floor. Inhale. Exhale, we're going to come forward. So we're coming to our pyramid pose. So the front knee is, or the front leg, sorry, should I say, is straight. You might want a block or a couple of blocks here because you can then use them to bring the floor up to you. So what's really important here is that you're not hyperextending through your knee. So push your big toe into the floor a little bit more, making sure that there's a little bend in the knee. Not too much of a bend, a little bend. What you want to feel is a stretch through the back of the leg. So use that big toe to ground your foot into the floor. Keep the shoulders drawn away from the ears. Breathe. So you can have your hands on blocks, you can have them on the shin, you can just have them, you can have them on the back of the body, I guess, as well, or keep them at heart centre. But the back of the leg is what we're targeting. Breathe. Another breath. To come out of this, we're going to bend through that front leg. We're going to move the blocks out of the way. I'm going to twist the side of the mat, but basically you're just going to step that foot forwards for now. So I'm going to come to step forwards. You're actually going to come to Warrior One. So step forwards, but then we're going to step back to Warrior One. So you could just leave that back leg where it was. Come to your Warrior One. Lift the arms all the way up. Draw in through the belly. Lower spine and tailbone. Sorry, tailbone is lengthened again, so make sure you're not creating too much of an arch. Push into the ground through the front foot and through the back foot. So you're really activating those legs are strong again in this pose, just like they were in Tadasana. Breathe. Breathe. We're going to bring the hands to heart centre. We're going to start to bring our block. We're going to come to a little balance. You're going to bring the block just to the outside of the mat. So we're going to come to a half moon briefly. So you want to really press the left foot, in this case, into the mat. Imagine that you're trying to push that foot through the mat. You're going to come forwards and you're going to find your block and press that into the floor. Imagine you're trying to push that into the room below you. Then you're going to start to lift that back leg. Push that heel away from you. Standing leg is strong, can be bent, that's absolutely fine. Push that back heel away from you. So we're opening out a little bit through the hip. Don't worry too much about that to start with. Keep the hips level if that makes it more straightforward in terms of just finding your balance. Hand can rain on the hip. Hand can lift up towards the ceiling. Entirely up to you. Breathe. And if your leg's only here, that's absolutely fine. You're still in a balance. Take another breath wherever you are. Very slowly, 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 slowly. Bring the leg back. See if you can find your Warrior One once more. Take a breath. Draw the hands down to heart centre. Step forwards. Shake out through the legs. We need to do all of that on the other side now. So I'm just going to change ends of my mat to make sure that I've got everything that I need with me, so I'm not facing the wrong way. So let's come to our tree pose on this side. So we've got our right leg's going to be our standard leg this time. So again, make sure you're not dumping into your hip. So right leg is grounded through the floor. Start to bring the left heel to the right ankle. Keep the legs nice and strong. Squeeze through that standing leg. See where that left leg's going to come to. Maybe it's going to come to the shin. Maybe it's going to stay on the floor. Hands come to heart center. Breathe. Draw those legs together. So your foot's pressing into your leg, your leg's pressing into your foot. Find your balance. I seem to have lost my balance completely here today. I'll keep my foot on the floor, I think, for now. Breathe. And then from here, we're slowly going to bring the knee forwards again. See if we can come to a little balance at the front. Step it behind us, come to our warrior one. So step the front foot forwards a little bit maybe, to come to your warrior one legs anyway. Hands stay at heart center. I'll come to the side on this one actually. So if my foot's out in front of me, that's my warrior one leg behind me. At the minute, my knee's over my ankle. I'm then going to do is straighten that front leg. I'm going to inhale in an upright position. Exhale, going to lean forwards. Come to my blocks, or just have my hands at heart center. I'm going to press my right big toe into the floor because I have a habit of hyperextending my knee, so I don't want to do that. So I want to try and make sure there's a little bend in my knee. So I'm going to push my right big toe into the floor and then draw my calf muscle in towards the bone and almost kind of activate through the calf, I guess, which then helps also to keep that knee slightly bent. We don't want to hyperextend. So breathe here, keep length through the back of the body, draw the belly up. Another breath. Let's slowly bend through that knee. Just move the blocks out of the way very slightly. Coming to warrior one on this side. I think I might run out of space above my head in a moment, but we'll see. Keep the blocks somewhere nearby because you'll need them in a moment for your half moon. Exhale. Start to press that right foot into the mat. Bring the hand down, find the block. Place the block to the right hand side of your mat, about a foot away from your mat, roughly speaking. Start to place the weight into the right foot. Start to lift the left foot. Press into that block as if you're trying to press it into the wall, the floor below you. Press with that hand. That right arm's really strong. Press the left foot away. Breathe. Draw up through the belly. Keep breathing. Slowly bend through that leg. Slowly drop the back foot. Oh, nearly. Come back to your warrior one. Breathe. Draw the hands to heart center. Step yourself forwards. Wriggle out through the feet. So I'm going to come to the top of the mat again, just to come to a couple of chair poses before we start to come back down to the floor. So bringing the feet hip distance apart, draw the shoulders down. We're coming back to that strong Tadasana again. But bring the feet a little bit further towards one another maybe. We're going to inhale, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, you're going to sit down into your imaginary chair. So bring the hips back, don't bring the knees forward. It's important the hips go back. Tilt the pelvis slightly so that your tailbone's lengthened rather than sticking your bum out. Bring the arms up, or arms can be at heart center, hands can be at heart center, sorry. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the thighs. Breathe. You should be able to look down and see your toes. Draw the belly in. Hold it for another breath. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up. Exhale, sit. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sit. One more time. Make sure that bum's not sticking out. Inhale, lift. Exhale, sit. Hold. Breathe. Draw the belly in a bit more. Keep the shoulders drawn down. Inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Now take hold of opposite elbows. Allow the head to hang heavy. Maybe just nod or shake. Just nice and relax. Relax the whole of the upper body. Allow it just to hang. Should feel a bit of a stretch down the back of the legs. The legs can be nicely bent. And then let's slowly bring the hands to the floor. Come to sit on the mat, so maybe just bend through the knees. Slowly lower yourself to the floor. I'm going to come to a seated butterfly pose. So I'm going to sit on a couple of blocks actually, because I find that is best for me. You might be quite comfortable just on the floor, or you might have something at home you can sit on anyway. So come to sit on something, making sure you're sitting up nice and tall, or just sit directly onto the floor. Make sure you're sitting on both sitting bones wherever you are. Draw the feet together, draw the shoulders down the back of the body. Breathe. Gently press the soles of the feet towards one another. Now you can decide how strong this stretch is by where you put your feet. So if you put your feet nearer to your body, it's going to be more intense, the stretch. If you walk them further away, it'll also be less intense. It's entirely up to you. Try and relax through the shoulders. You can pad underneath the knees with pillows or blankets or something if you want to as well. And let's exhale, just walk the hands down. Come to a little bit of forward fold. You should feel a stretch through the inner thighs. Relax the shoulders, relax the jaw. Wherever your hands are, just allow them to be soft. And breathe here. One more breath. Let's slowly walk the hands back towards the body. Bring the legs or the feet back to the mat. Slowly start to bring yourself around so we can start to come back to the floor. So we're going to come down to happy baby. If you prefer, you can do the figure 4 stretch that we started with instead. That's absolutely fine too. So if you want to come to happy baby, we're going to bring the back of the body onto the mat. You're going to lift both legs up towards the ceiling. Perhaps rotate a little bit through the ankles, take them the other way. And we're going to bend the knees, bring them out towards the armpits, bring the hands inside the thighs, take hold of the outside edge of the feet, push the heels up, a bit like we did at the beginning with the strap, but this time we've got our knees bent. Push the hips, no, don't push the hips, push the heels up towards the ceiling. Keep the shoulders on the mat. You should feel a nice juicy stretch through the hips. You can gently rock from side to side if you wish. So we're drawing the knees down towards the armpits whilst the heels are trying to reach the ceiling. So you're pushing the heels away whilst drawing the knees in a little bit. It's a lovely hip opening pose. Just here for a few more breaths. Try not to lift the tailbone too much, so make sure your lower spine, your tailbone's still on the floor. It's really easy to lift it too high. We don't want you to do that. We want it to still be on the floor. So just check that you've not lifted too much off the floor. Gently bring the feet in together. Perhaps hug the feet towards the body. Rock a few times left and right. And then let's hug the knees in towards the chest. We'll come back to that supine twist before we finish. So bring the arms out at shoulder height. Inhale here. Exhale, take the knees to the right hand side. Taking the gaze to the left. Breathe. One more breath here. Inhale, come back to centre. Exhale, drop the knees to the left, take the gaze to the right. Relax the shoulders, the hands, the jaw. One more breath. Inhale, bring the knees back to centre. Perhaps hug them in a little bit again towards the chest. Rock gently from side to side. You can even bring the head up towards the knees, which is quite nice. Just to massage a bit higher up the spine. I'm going to come to a little inversion to finish. Can't find my blocks, but here, behind me, aren't they? There. So you could just come with your legs up the wall, because that you just place the legs up the wall just for a bit of relaxation. Or you can bring a block just underneath your tailbone, and then from there lift the legs up. Just get it in about the right place, and you'll find that's not comfortable now. Right at the base of the spine, and that's better. It just provides a really nice bit of support, and actually you feel as if you're floating, a bit like having legs up the wall without the wall. Allow the arms just to knock out to the side, just allow the fingers to be relaxed and soft. Allow the legs to just dangle. Close down through the eyes, come back to the breath. Perhaps notice how the legs feel. Are there any sensations through the legs? Take some nice deep inhales and exhales here. So you can stay here as long as you want to, really. And if you want to stay here for Shavasana, then please do. That's absolutely fine. It's a lovely pose for Shavasana if it's comfortable for you. Or you might prefer to move so your legs are actually supported by a wall. One more breath. And we're very slowly and carefully going to lower the feet towards the floor. Lift the hips to remove the block. Hug the knees back in towards the chest. Rock gently from side to side. Then perhaps come to a fully supine position with the legs outstretched, the arms out towards the sides of the body, but just away from the body, palms facing up. Palms facing up is really helpful because it means that we can't activate through the fingers very easily. We can't create too much muscle interaction or action if we have the palms up. So the hands generally will relax if the palms are facing up. Soften through the shoulders. Allow the feet to just rock out to the side. And just relax through the body. Come back to the breath, keeping it nice and smooth. And just spend a few moments in silence, in stillness, checking in with your body, noticing any sensations through the whole of your body. Perhaps take a quick scan from the top of the head all the way down to the toes. Perhaps take a moment just to thank your body for the practice today. Taking this time out for yourself. And notice how you feel both in your body but also in your mind after the practice today. Let's just take 2 more deep inhales through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. One more inhale. Exhale. Slowly take the arms overhead. As you inhale, point the toes, reach the fingers away. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, point the toes, reach the fingers. Exhale, draw the knees back in towards the chest. Rock from side to side. Draw the forehead up towards the knees. And then slowly in your own time come up to a comfortable seated position to finish our practice. So I'm going to come to sit on a couple of blocks just to close our practice today. So thank you for joining me. I hope you found the practice helpful, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Just perhaps bring the hands to heart centre, draw the shoulders down the back of the body. Take another breath in. As you exhale, slowly bring the fingertips towards the forehead. Namaste.